Hi, everybody. This is Tanya from Tango Business Coaching, and we are now on day 22 of our 30-day leadership challenge. And day 22 is the last day in the Leading Others series. And I have purposely chosen a topic to end this part of it with a bit of an exclamation point, and that is all about setting expectations. And I know that might seem it's pretty basic. It's a pretty basic thing for like a management 101. And yet, I will say, in my experience, probably the number one source of conflict, the number one source of performance issues, the number one assessment of whether someone is actually having a performance issue or a performance behavioral issue. Um, all of that rooted in the fact that employees didn't fully comprehend and fully understand what was expected of them, both in their role and behaviorally. And many times they weren't even clear on exactly just the basic responsibilities. So I've specifically left it to the end of this series because for me, it is just critical and foundational and important enough to spend some time on. Today's video may go a little longer because I have a lot of feelings about this one. So we'll see how it goes. I'll try to keep it to 10 minutes. And I want to be clear, when we talk about setting expectations, this is not about micromanaging. This is about helping and guiding your employees. This is about communication. This is about just being super clear with them up front and throughout their employment journey and while they report to you, to ensure that they are always clear on how they align. Most employees actually prefer to know that they are on track, right? And what's interesting is Gallup in the US has done a poll or a study recently about this very topic. And they found that nearly half, so almost 50% of US employees don't know what's expected of them at work. So, somewhat astonishing, but I guess I'm not totally surprised given my own experience with all of this. So in terms of, why we should care, I feel like that should be pretty obvious and is pretty basic. After all, the entire point of having employees is so that they can perform some kind of work that is contributing towards the goal of the company, right? But I will, for the sake of this video, state the obvious here, that without having a clear expectation, the work that you require to be done is just not going to get done. It's not going to get done either at all, or not going to get done well, or it's just not going to get done efficiently. And all of that is clearly problematic for any organization, but also the employee themselves and all the people that they work with and interact with, right? All these things that we've been talking about in all the previous videos, people getting frustrated because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They're in an environment potentially where they're fearful of even asking. The manager is frustrated because the work, of course, is not getting done. And, they obviously believe that they trained them, of course, and, they're trained properly and therefore they should just be delivering. So they don't think it's an issue for them, but it's a frustration for them. Other team members get frustrated working with them, especially if they are people who are dependent on their work or interdependent in some way. So all of this leads to engagement issues, poor productivity, terrible workplace culture, right? So in the spirit of setting expectations, I thought now would be a really great time to get really clear with you as leaders on expectations for you in this regard. Because that is also a gap sometimes. Sometimes leaders just don't fully understand themselves that they need to be doing this work consistently on a regular basis. Many leaders believe I've communicated once. They should know what's expected of them. And that is oftentimes not good enough. So here are, a few ideas that I have about what you can be doing better in your role in order to get really clear on expectations for your employees. So again, it should go without saying that if you have a brand new employee, ensuring that they receive proper training and that they have a full comprehension of their role responsibilities. Think back to when you were a brand new employee. I mean, it takes time for someone to learn all the little ins and outs of the role, the team, the company. They need to have some space to learn and for that content that they are learning to actually integrate. So, my advice here is to be kind and generous with them, to ensure that they have a safe space to ask the questions that they need. There are more stories and horror stories that I care to even count, where I've heard of a new employee who gets, sort of passed off to a more senior employee who's been around a little longer. That person kind of throws a policy or a procedure manual at them. Their attitude kind of stinks. They certainly behave as if they're too busy to spend time with this employee, let alone feel safe to, ask a question and for them to actually answer a question. As a new employee, it is already intimidating enough. And the last thing you want to do is rock the boat. And this is where you come in. It is your job as the leader to ensure that the first time onboarding is supportive for this new employee and aligned with their learning style. Not how you think somebody needs to be trained, but more how they need to learn. Everybody learns differently, right? Your job is to figure that out. Follow up frequently with this person in the first month. Don't leave it to the person that you've set up to train them. It needs to be you who follows up. It needs to be you who sets up a schedule with them in terms of how often they need to meet. Making a safe space so that they can come and ask you questions if they have questions. So from a timeline perspective, I would say the first month you're wanting to follow up regularly. It might be once a week, and then you would agree with them on what they actually need for the first 3 months. What does that look like for the first 6 months? And what does it look like for a full year? Following up and asking questions is not micromanaging. Okay. So getting that mindset change needs to happen here, right? So that is like a big paragraph on number one. The second thing that you could be doing as a leader is to get really clear yourself on what the role expectations are of all the roles that report into you. Again, if you're not clear on it, how in the world are they going to be clear on it? So ensuring that they are aligned with the way that you believe that role needs to be carried out. And then considering goals. So some of this is just day-to-day job duties. Some of this work is going to be goal related. So consider using the tools, the SMART tool, of course, for setting goals. And that is really prevalent. You can research that one. But essentially ensuring that any goals that are written for an employee are SMART, measurable, attainable, realistic, and within a timeline. Okay, the third thing is for you to help them understand how their role fits into the larger scope of the organization. So I already did a video on alignment, and that is this one here, but it's worth repeating because it is so critically important, both at the beginning of their employment relationship, but all throughout their oh my gosh, I'm losing my words. The whole time of their talent cycle with you, the whole time that they're employed with you, right? To be able to understand how their role connects and contributes to the vision or the mission of the organization. It's like that old story about, I don't know if you've heard this one, about the cleaner working at NASA. So, somebody's walking down the hall and they run into a cleaner and they say, hey, what is it that you do here? And the cleaner repeats back to them, I'm helping to put a man on the moon. Not I'm here cleaning the floors or cleaning the washrooms or whatever. My job here is to help put a man on the moon. So that is an employee who is fully aligned to the bigger purpose of the organization. And that's where we need our employees to get. We know they're more engaged when they feel connected. Okay. The fourth thing is to help them understand what's expected of them in terms of their delivery to your customers. And your customers can be internal clients, it can be external, like whoever your customers are, obviously getting clear on who your customers are. But then what's the expectation in terms of behaviors? Helping them understand what your brand is and how they need to stay on brand. Helping them understand how the values and beliefs of the organization fully support the behaviors needed to execute on the various strategies. So that's the fourth one. The fifth one is after every conversation you have with an employee, you want to test their comprehension of what they've understood as you've had a larger conversation with them about this topic. So you just want to, simply ask them to summarize what they heard and what their actions are going to be when, they leave your office, and ensuring that even if it's the smallest goal, that they are smart, right? That they are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Okay, the sixth thing is setting up regular meetings to check in with them. Get them to talk with you. This needs to be conversational and two-way, not, you talking at them. Ask them questions about what they're working on and ensure that it is still aligned with the original expectations. Again, I can't stress this enough. It needs to be you asking questions and them having a conversation back and forth with each other. So that's it. Obviously, when you hear that there's misalignment anywhere throughout the talent cycle, this is day-to-day kind of management 101. This isn't a one and done kind of a situation. This is a responsibility that, leaders need to take on fully as part of the role. So when people are misaligned and out of whack with the expectations, your job is to help them get back in line, help them fully understand, right? And that only happens by having conversations and, testing and feeding back and getting them to feed back to you. It's just an ongoing cycle because they might be fully aligned at the beginning, and as time goes on, they get rerouted, right? So all kinds of things can take things off track. So you've just got to stay with them. It's not micromanaging. It is your job as a leader to follow up and provide guidance. And that's what this is about. So your challenge today is simply to check in with your employees. Have a fantastic conversation with them. Ask them to summarize what they are working on and listen for alignment to the expectations of their role. Ask them how they believe they contribute to the greater good of the organization. Do they understand how they might contribute to fulfilling the mission or the vision? If they're confused, great time to have that conversation with them and get them inspired about their role and the expectations and how it all fits in to the greater good of the business. So good luck with this one. Check in as always. Let me know how it's going. If you need that 30-day challenge tracker, just reach out to me through message or comment, and I will get that over to you. Good luck with this one today. This is again, it's part of leadership practice. So good luck. Let me know how it goes. I will see you here tomorrow. Have a great day.